Welcome to the deep dive. If you own a website, or really if you produce any content online, some of the most critical processes are the ones you just never see.
That's right.
Today we're taking a deep dive into the technical bedrock of the internet, the fundamental mechanisms of crawling and indexing that Google uses to find, understand, and then display your work.
Our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're here to deliver the essential technical requirements for visibility. This is the stuff that determines if your content even gets a chance to rank.
Right.
And alongside that, we're going to finally put to rest the single most persistent piece of, well, outdated SEO advice that's still floating around. We are going to debunk the meta tags myth once and for all.
Okay, let's unpack this. I think an analogy might help set the stage here. Think of Google as the world's largest library. What we're looking at today is how the automated librarian, which we call Googlebot, finds your brand new book, processes it, and then makes sure it gets put on the right shelf so that readers or searchers can actually find it.
And that process really unfolds in two critical phases. You've got crawling, which is the discovery part.
And then indexing, the huge organizational phase.
Exactly.
So let's start at the beginning. Crawling. This is the moment of discovery.
It is.
Google's automated programs, these crawlers or spiders, mostly Googlebot, they travel a web. They don't have some magic list of every website. They're basically digital explorers, and they chart the territory by following links.
Right. So if page A links to page B, Googlebot just follows that path and discovers page B. It's as simple as that in theory.
So for a website owner, the goal isn't just to be crawled, but to manage that process efficiently. And that brings us to the tools you can actually use. First up, the most proactive one is the sitemap.
The sitemap is your most important piece of direct communication with Google. If you think of the web as this massive, tangled highway system, the sitemap is like the GPS file you just hand to the driver.
I like that.
It's an XML file on your server, and it tells Google directly, hey, these are the new pages, these are the updated ones, and here's the entire list of content I really want you to find.
That's especially important for new sites, right? The ones without many links pointing to them.
Oh, it's vital. Without that roadmap, discovery can be incredibly slow. It can sometimes take weeks, even months, for Google to stumble upon your pages naturally.
So if the sitemap is the map, then the robots.txt file is, what, the set of traffic laws?
It's more like a do not enter sign, a velvet rope. It's a file that tells crawlers which parts of your site they are explicitly not allowed to request from your server.
So you'd use that for, say, admin login pages or other low-value sections.
Exactly. But what's crucial here, and this is where people make a lot of technical mistakes, is that robots.txt only stops the crawler from requesting the page. It doesn't guarantee it won't be indexed if Google finds a link to it from somewhere else.
Okay.
And more importantly, we've seen countless cases where developers accidentally block essential resources in their robots.txt file. Things like JavaScript or CSS files.
And what's the consequence of that? If Google can't load the styling or the code, what does it see?
It can't properly render the page. It just sees the raw HTML skeleton. And that inability to render means Google can't confirm if your mobile and desktop versions are the same, and it might completely miss content that's generated dynamically.
So you're risking a lower quality score or just having key content completely ignored.
Even if the page itself is technically indexed.
Okay, so once crawling is done, the content's been requested, the page is discovered. We move into the indexing phase, the organizational step. Google analyzes all the text, the images, the files, and stores it in that massive database we call the Google Index. And the one ironclad rule here is if your page isn't indexed, it just doesn't exist to searchers. It can't show up in search results.
And that's where the organization gets really complicated. Websites are messy. They often create multiple URLs for the very same piece of content. A mobile version, a print view, a filtered version.
Right, all those slight variations. Duplicate content.
That's what we call it. And Google needs to clean this up to keep the search results from being redundant and low quality.
Of course, if they showed every single duplicate, the results page would be unusable.
Exactly. And that's the job of canonicalization. Canonicalization is Google's process of figuring out which one version is the official, primary, or the canonical URL.
So it groups all the duplicates under that one main version.
Right. And this is critical because it ensures that all the ranking power, the link equity from all those different links pointing to the 5 duplicates, gets focused onto that one primary URL.
So if you get canonicalization wrong, you could be splitting your signals. You could accidentally tell Google that a low priority page is the main one, and all your hard work is just wasted.
Precisely. And adding to that complexity is the fact that we now operate entirely under mobile-first indexing.
Meaning Google primarily ranks you based on the mobile version of your content.
Primarily indexes and ranks, yes. So developers have to constantly check for parity, making sure all the critical information and links on the desktop version are also there and loadable on the mobile version.
Which brings us back to that JavaScript challenge you mentioned.
Hmm.
How does Google handle that dynamic content versus just plain old static HTML?
It's a process we call two waves of indexing. The first wave handles the initial static HTML pretty quickly, but the dynamic content, the stuff rendered by JavaScript, often has to wait for a second, deferred rendering phase.
So it takes longer.
It takes more time and way more resources. Google has to queue up that page to be rendered using something similar to a modern browser. If your JavaScript is slow or if it fails, Google might just index an incomplete or even a blank version of your page.
Wow. Okay, so all of this technical heavy lifting is just help Google understand what your content is. But that's useless if we don't properly communicate the content's topic and intent. And that brings us to the biggest, most enduring myth in the entire world of search optimization. The keyword's meta tag.
This is the part of the deep dive where we provide a definitive historical correction. The keyword's meta tag was, at one point, the direct line. You just listed your target keywords right in the HTML, and you told the search engine, this is what my page is about.
The expectation was that search engines would use that as a strong ranking signal. And what's the truth now?
The definitive truth, and there's no ambiguity here, is that Google does not use the keyword's meta tag in its main web search ranking.
Oh.
It has zero effect on your page's visibility or ranking position on Google.com.
So why did this happen? How does a tool go from being a key signal to being completely ignored?
It's a classic story of human spam and abuse leading to algorithmic disregard. About, 15 years ago, webmasters started heavily abusing the tag through what's called keyword stuffing.
Right. Just loading it up with hundreds of irrelevant or repetitive keywords to try and trick the system.
Exactly. So the signal became entirely unreliable. It was often just filled with lies, and Google simply chose to stop listening.
And we have confirmation on this, right? This isn't just speculation.
Oh, absolutely. We have official confirmation from Google dating all the way back to 2009 that the policy is disregarded completely. It's useless because it became unreliable.
That historical context is fantastic. And the source material had a great anecdote about this with two competing companies, Alice Su and Bobco.
Yes, it's the perfect real-world example of this misplaced anxiety. Alice Ku discovers that Bobco is listing the name Alice Ku over and over again in the keyword's meta tag on Bobco's own site.
Trying to siphon off their traffic.
Right. And Alice Ku is furious. They're considering legal action. But the official advice is, Alice should not worry, because Google ignores that information even the least little bit.
That's a huge strategic insight right there. You don't need to stress about what your competitors are hiding in that tag because Google isn't even looking. It's like a piece of public commentary that nobody actually reads.
It's entirely inert, for ranking on Google anyway. Now, just to be thorough, there are some rare non-public exceptions. Google has enterprise products like the Google Search Appliance.
Internal corporate search tools.
Right. And there, meta tags can be configured for internal use. And, some smaller international search engines like Yandex might still give it some minor consideration. But for anyone focused on the global web and Google.com, the meta keywords tag is a historical relic. Zero effect.
So, we've retired the ghost of SEO past. But we need to be crystal clear. Just because one tag is obsolete doesn't mean they all are. We need to focus our efforts on the elements that communicate value to both the search engines and to the user.
Absolutely. This is where modern efforts should be centered. Let's start with the most visible and influential one, the title tag.
This is the actual blue, clickable headline you see in the search results page, the very first thing a user reads.
And it is still a key ranking factor. It defines the page's topic. It's essential for relevance. But more than that, the title tag is your first handshake with the searcher. It needs to include your primary keywords, sure, but it also has to be compelling and concise.
Under 60 characters, ideally, so it doesn't get cut off.
Right. Then you have the meta description. This is the one that often gets confused with the old keywords tag.
They do totally different things.
Completely different. The meta description is that short summary, that block of text that appears under the title. And here's the critical nuance. Google explicitly says the description is not a ranking factor. It doesn't help your rank directly.
So, if it doesn't help with ranking, Why is it so vital?
Because it is your sales pitch. It's your one chance to sell the click. A well-written, compelling description directly influences your click-through rate, your CTR.
Ah, so if lots of people click your result over others, that's a signal to Google that your page is highly relevant.
It's a massive secondary ranking signal. The description's impact on user behavior is huge, even if the text itself isn't used for ranking.
Okay, so beyond the snippet, the structure of the content itself helps with hierarchy. And that's where we use header tags H1, H2, H3, and so on.
These are essential for readability and organization. The H1 should be for the single main topic. H2s are your main subheadings. By creating that clear hierarchy, you help both the search engine and the human reader quickly grasp what's important.
We also have to talk about accessibility requirements that directly impact search, like image alt text.
Alt text serves two purposes. First, it's for accessibility, provides descriptions for visually impaired users. But second is how crawlers understand what an image contains, which boosts your visibility in image searches.
And the key there is to write an accurate description that naturally uses keywords, avoiding that stuffing behavior that got us in this mess in the first place.
Exactly. And finally, the ultimate power-up for visibility, which goes way beyond simple text. Structured data or schema markup.
This is code that sits behind the scenes, right?
It's standardized code that provides explicit facts. It tells Google, this is the price, these are the star ratings, this is the day of the event. This level of detail enables what we call rich snippets.
Those are the enhanced search results with the little yellow stars under a recipe or a product's price showing up right there.
They command attention. They fundamentally change how your result looks, which, again, significantly improves that click-through rate. Modern SEO is less about hidden tricks and more about broadcasting clear, organized data.
So given this complete shift, let's address the final actionable question. If the keyword's meta tag is useless, should you spend the time to go through your code and actively remove it?
Generally, yes. I'd say removal is highly advisable for three strong reasons. The first is pure competitive strategy. Competitor spying.
Because the tag is visible in the source code.
It is. So keeping it just hands your competitors a free, easy-to-read list of the keywords you're targeting. You're giving away your playbook for absolutely no benefit.
You're sacrificing competitive intelligence for zero gain. Okay, what's number two?
Number two is just code hygiene. Removing obsolete tags simplifies your HTML. It reduces clutter, makes the site easier to manage, and potentially a tiny bit faster to load.
And the third reason?
The third is that while Google ignores it, other search engines, like Bing, have said that an overly stuffed or spammy meta keywords tag can be seen as a negative quality signal. Why risk raising a red flag with any search engine when there's zero upside?
Are there any legitimate non-SEO reasons to keep it? We talked about internal use.
In very rare edge cases, yes. For a massive organization with a huge legacy content management system, the field may be used for internal content tagging. Or maybe to prevent what we call keyword cannibalization by clarifying a page's focus to internal editors.
But for most websites.
For almost everyone, those cases are irrelevant. The benefits of removing it far outweigh any reason to keep it.
The journey we've taken today, from the pure mechanics of Googlebot, following a link to the strategy of which tag to optimize, it really reveals this massive overarching shift.
The ultimate takeaway is that the focus has moved completely away from trying to trick the system with hidden stuff. Success today comes from getting the basics right, crawling and indexing, and then just prioritizing the user-facing elements, your title, your description, your content structure, stuff that people actually want to engage with.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to consider. If Google chose to disregard the keywords tag because of human abuse and spam over a decade ago, how profound was that single technical decision in fundamentally shaping the entire modern internet toward prioritizing user experience, readability, and helpful people-first content?
It's a technical decision that shaped human behavior online.
Think about that architecture from crawling to communication the next time you search.